So here we are. You can see here, it is Knicks season. It is basketball season, so probably wearing my Knick apparel. Go Knicks. Anyway, so today I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that's low light performance. Because, let me just make sure I get my focus in properly here. Because, I shoot a lot of weddings, and there are a lot of situations where I cannot control the lighting. So having a camera that can be good in low light is really important to me. Now, as I'm in different Facebook and YouTube comments and, Facebook groups and things, when people are talking about the Fx30, a lot of times they complain about the low light performance being really bad. And I have a theory on why this is happening, why people are saying this. Because if you follow my channel, you know I did a video on the low light performance of this camera where I did some extreme tests and I showed you some results. It's not really bad at all. So not really sure what people are talking about exactly, but I have a theory and we'll get into that. But I'm going to show you some samples of some of the weddings and things that I shot so far this year and how good they look. And I'll explain what settings I'm using and what lenses I'm using so you understand how I'm able to avoid this low light problem. First thing is, one of the ways that I battle low light is I use this thing here that you never heard of probably. It's called a light. You know what I mean? You just turn on the damn light. So, that's one thing you can do. Shooting in like darkness is probably not a good idea for any camera. So bring some lights with you and you're going to be just fine. So I always use 2 of these LED lights when I'm shooting weddings anyway. These are the Yongnuo YN300 3s. I don't even know if they sell these ones anymore, but I like these because they have a remote control. And a lot of times I'm shooting solo, so it's nice to be able to turn these off and on and adjust the brightness and the color. They're also bicolor. So that's why I roll with these. I like them. And then I keep one of these lights, with me too. It's in my little bag. I always have like a little shoulder bag with me. I keep this little light in there, and then, with a little mount, I will mount it onto my camera, and there you go. So like if I am in a situation where it is totally dark, it's the cake cutting, let's say it was last minute, and there's no lights over there. My lights are on stands. They got sandbags attached to them. There's big crowds of people. It's hard to get through. I just take this out of my bag, put it on the camera, and boom. There you go. I have some light right there. So I'm really not in low light situations too often. A lot of people don't like on camera lights. I say use some light. Any light is better than no light. I really feel like there's one thing that I think a lot of people are doing that is really causing this problem. So just hold on. We'll talk about that. I want to save that to the very end for you because I'm going to rant about it a little bit. But let's say you forgot about your light, right? Well, then that's when I start getting into using lenses like this. This is the Sigma 16mm f1.4. f1.4 is a very bright lens. And you put this on a Sony Fx30, you could almost shoot in the dark and it's going to look good because you can open this aperture up to f1.4. I've shot a lot of receptions where the guests are dancing and they're not standing right in my direct light that I have set up. And I just open this up and I'm shooting at like 1600 ISO and it still looks really, really good. Crispy, no grain. This is the 16mm, and I also have, I don't have it handy right now, but I also have the 30mm f1.4 and the 56mm f1.4. So I have all of them. But when I go to weddings, I typically only bring the 16 and the 30, and I use the 30 the most. Right now, what's filming me is the Tamron 17-70 f2.8. A lot of times when I'm shooting weddings, I prefer to use zoom lenses. So that's another lens that I might throw on there. f2.8 is plenty bright, and I never have problems when I'm using that lens. But also, I'm gonna be honest with you, this lens right here, this is the 18-105 f4 lens. This lives on my camera 90% of the time when I'm at weddings. Even at the receptions, when the lights are dimmer, I still use this lens because it has the power zoom in it, and I love that feature. Plus, it can zoom in all the way to 105, which I love that feature as well. And let me tell you something, does it look as good as any of the other lenses that I just mentioned? No. But to me, a little grain is acceptable anyway if you even get it, because I don't get a ton of grain with this either. And that's going to bring me to the last point. Remember when I said there was a reason that I feel a lot of people that complain about this camera complain about it. It's because of the picture profile they're shooting in. They shoot in S-Log3. Maybe you've been spoiled because you were using a full frame Sony camera and S-Log3 works so well, and you know, you can be off with your exposure and you can still grade the picture without a lot of grain in it. With the Fx30, that's just not the case. Not in my experience. There's not a lot of latitude in S-Log3 to get your exposure wrong, especially underexposing. If you underexpose it, it's going to look bad. I mean, that's just what I find. There's a small margin of error, and that's just what it is. Also, I think the biggest problem is people get locked into Cine EI and thinking like that is the end all be all. Use Cine EI and the picture will magically always look good. And then they're always disappointed when it looks grainy because you're in a low light situation. You're locking yourself into either 800 or 2500 ISO, but maybe that situation is calling for you to use 6400 ISO, but you're afraid to use it because you think you have to keep the camera in Cine EI mode. It's not the case, man. I mean, if the situation is really a really low light situation, I really think you need to put your camera in flexible ISO, like I've shown you in other videos, and just shoot that way. And then I think you'll be surprised to see that your grain will go away. That's the issue, I think. You're not exposing the camera properly for the situation you're in. Hope you found that helpful. In the description, I'll put that low light test down there. So if you want to watch that, go ahead and watch it. And as always, I'm Mike Turner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.